Hello, everyone. It's Father's Day in the United States, so I'll try to be brief, but at the same time to continue the discussion which we were having previously. So last time we spoke about manipulation, structural arrogance, and citizen decision making. Today, I'd like to focus more on the way we make our decisions and about a fundamental question about where do we get our facts from when we make our decisions. Sometimes I wonder, do we vote blindly? Do we know the full context, the issues, dilemmas as we should know them? Or do we just kind of follow a procedure that's become mechanical in the way we approach voting? So these are the questions. What are the facts that we're able to acquire? And sometimes I wonder, why do these facts seem to be uncontrollable? Why does it seem to be a big mess? Or maybe it's actually all controlled in some ways. As citizens, I think sometimes we wonder, why does everything feel like this huge uncontrollable mess? All these opinions that we see, all these different voices that we see, all these different ads that we see, all these different commercials that we see, all these different comments that we see, and everything is just like a small little bit and piece of the information, but we never get the whole piece of bread, do we? Where we're able to see the large context, or maybe we're not prepared to see the large context. That's the bigger problem. So when we see the information, we kind of know where to place it within the way we interpret it. So I think this is the questions, right? So is it supposed to be a distraction, the way it's structured? How would we live our lives if things were simpler? How would we live our lives if we didn't have to worry so much about this back and forth type of rancorous struggle, and we just kind of knew beforehand what to expect, and we made our decisions based actually on policies and actually on the things which are important to us locally, but yet having an understanding of what's going on way out there at the same time, so we know how to assess these things, right? It's almost like we're missing something locally. We're missing an infrastructure locally. We're missing an infrastructure at our desktop to know exactly kind of what to think, because we don't really know what to think, it turns out, if we have information from thousands of different sources, and we eventually tune out and don't listen to even ourselves because we become so frustrated with the way this information is presented. So the question is what kind of mechanism do we need to have clear communication, maybe to even make these fundamental choices which we're trying to assess? And this is a big question, because if we vote, we're usually voting for people to represent us, to represent our interests. To know what our interests are, we actually need to know what are the policies. We actually need to know where our tax money is going and what it's funding, so that we can make the accurate determination of how we want it to progress further in the next 2 years, in the next 4 years. It seems that if we pursue elections in this way, then we have the power. If we pursue elections in such a way where we don't know why we're voting, I think we're actually giving power to people over us. Power which, why would you give away your power? It's like the same question, why would you give away your toll road? You probably wouldn't do that, right? If something is important to you. So I think we all have some basic expectations as citizens of this country. And I'll kind of just run through a little bit of list of them. So we want our elected representatives to address relevant issues, right? We want to be listened to. We want to create fair compromises, right? We understand that what we need, but we also kind of understand we're in it together, and that other person maybe needs that, right? So we understand these types of basic approaches when we deal with other people. So I think what we actually all want, and I might be mistaken with this, but I think we all want to know the problem directly, and we want to be able to independently make an interpretation of all these issues in a fair and succinct way to be consistent right, with who we are as individuals. I think this is what we're all aiming to, right, or this is what we're aiming for as we're making our decisions when we vote or when we engage with larger policies that affect us at a wider level. So I just want to propose a little bit of a mechanism here, a small mechanism, a basic mechanism, but it's a mechanism which answers like a basic question of why is there so much confusion? Do we need to have all of this confusion? Do we need to have thousands, hundreds of thousands of messages, commercials, billions of dollars spent on individuals trying to influence our thought process on how we should vote? And why, right? Why all this commotion when we expect from the government something fair, a communication process so we could know what is being done. So something which is an idea here that I'd like to share with you is something that we could have at our desktop, just a website where we know each and every policy on one single website that the government engages in, right? Locally, regionally, internationally. There's different tax dollars that go to sponsor different programs. We all reap rewards and benefits from these programs, but we don't necessarily know how they function or why they function or what level of impact they have on our daily lives. So then we actually follow only the limited local issues which have impact for us. The things people talk about, the complaints people have locally, right? The things we like to have investments in locally, but we don't necessarily look at the wider picture when we're engaging in these questions. So I think if you take a look at it, distant programs probably deal with types of security, right? Types of health issues, maybe viruses somewhere on the other side of the world, maybe American influence somewhere on the other side of the world that actually has deep influence on our local freedom in some indirect way, which we don't know where. Right, different economic and political cooperation on the other side of the world that determines the type of prices we have at Walmart or the gas station. We don't know this, right? We just kind of think we know something because so many people give us ways of how we should think about it. But what about this government responsibility of giving us a clear communication pattern and giving us a clear, simple design without all the commotion of trying to convince us where we should go and what we should think and how we should vote? The vote should be your own. The vote should be your conscience. The vote is your silent individual right to choose what you believe is the best course for you, your family, for your community, and for our country and for our society. That's the reason for a vote. And if we think about it, this type of explanation of impact for local communities is something which we don't have. And it's very basic. With AI technology, with different types of tech right now, there's no reason each and every single program, each and every single American policy which is voted on is not outlined in one tangible database. This way we know, right, how much tax dollars go to this institution, to this policy, and we can also probably know what is the rough estimate of benefit that we get from it on a local basis. This is just basic, a basic database, something which each and every one of us could look into if we want to. Just one central place to know this truth, right? Truth which is defended by our Constitution, truth which is defended by the integrity of the people who are in government and who serve us as public servants. This is the truth we're looking for. And I think it becomes truth if we resort back just to the basics. Keep it simple, right? Keep it simple in one database. And I think this is something which probably wouldn't take long to integrate, would it? This is something where we could probably have, right, we have the Government Accountability Office, which has very clear and effective results, usually always in terms of what is the expectation of different government investments. I mean, we've already had this for a very long period of time. We have we have ways of constructing this type of mechanism, but I think maybe we don't have yet the training. But the training could also be simply done. So my son, he had to do civics classes the past few years in high school, and part of the civics classes is you learn the Constitution, you learn the Bill of Rights, you learn these basic documents, these basic institutions, and how they function. But this has all changed again, right? Because we're shifting to the network, we're shifting to artificial intelligence, we're shifting to information, which is being conducted in a completely different place. And even though it's important to know our basic rights and a fundamental respect for the Constitution, we should also create a space where we're able to directly relate to our government, to our policies, and be trained in knowing its impact on our local communities. And if you think about it, any kind of institution, like we have institutions that work throughout the world, right through the State Department, different types of projects dealing with poverty programs throughout the world, dealing with disease throughout the world. And all these projects bring some sort of tangible benefit to us. Maybe disease didn't come here, right? Or maybe they represent our values as an American society, where we're not just interested in a transaction, but we're actually interested in working in partnership and cooperation with people on the other side of the world, just like you are in your community, where you actually work with the people who you trust, who give it to you straight. And maybe we don't know how to do this, right? We don't have the training to do this because we're still being trained to older models. And such a database could become an active component in the way our citizenship classes are trained, that we know how to research and find the information which is pertinent to us always, so that we could vote always with our consciousness, with our conscience, and we could vote with our purpose, and we could vote with our respect for the Constitution of the United States of America. So, right, if you think of civics classes and issues which are discussed in the civics classes, this is probably what we're looking for. And not only that, but maybe we should take it a step further, actually. I've always enjoyed the Pledge of Allegiance in grade school and high school. I thought it was important to think of this whole as something that we have together. I know that naturalized immigrants have to take an actual oath to the Constitution. I think that something which could become a part of this transition to adulthood in this society is also a respect for the Constitution. And I would say actually an oath to the Constitution by each and every citizen of this country. I think it's important because that's what makes us very specific. That's what makes us unique. We don't work for any one individual. We work for ourselves. We work for the rule of law. We work for those things which bring justice, equity, right, to this society. And we work by sharing what we think, and we work in partnership with each other, and we cooperate with each other. I think this is the way I've always interpreted this relationship which I have to this society. I think this is probably something that everybody shares in this society. So I think this is something that we can turn to live fulfilling lives, to live full lives, and to be further away from these types of conversations which last forever, which actually have a tendency to give us a negative feeling of how we relate to our society when we're bombarded by constant media or commercials or information which makes us want to think a certain way. It's an internal struggle. It's a struggle because we've never been able, right, in some cases, to come to terms with who we are and what we want. So I don't know, just one more thing kind of comes to mind here, is that a lot of times you hear people are smart because they know how the system works. I think we have to shift away from that. I think smart, in the American sense, is you're smart because you have values. You're smart because you have a respect for Constitution. Yeah, you're smart because you learn, you design, you innovate, right? You respect the social structure, right, that we have. You realize that we have a wonderful place. You realize some things must completely be innovated, some things must completely change. But you do not lose respect for the integrity, for the work that our predecessors put into this place. And at the same time, you got to fix the mistakes that they made somewhere, right? But you do it through discourse. You do it through identifying the course of the problem. You do it through being a society that all of us, we share we share what is actually right. So, like this type of thing that you kind of encounter, like people maybe don't say something, people maybe don't share something, people are afraid of how it will be interpreted, or sometimes you're buying something and somebody wants you to buy something really expensive and they're not telling you that what you have is good enough, right? The due diligence, the responsibility, right? The responsibility to know what is right. That comes from all of us. That comes from all of us to try to do that on a daily basis as best we could. To step away from this type of idea, it's smart, so it's possible. No, but is it consistent with your values? Right? Basic questions again, coming from our previous discussion. So if we pursue these types of innovations, then we have the knowledge to live our lives fully, productively, in peace, and in harmony. And I think this is what we actually all seek. So a basic idea for today, maybe even a simple idea. But again, the basic idea is, why not just have one place where we all look to understand each and every policy and its impact, local, regional, international, and that's where we look, and we know how much money was spent, and we know how much is the benefit to us, without all the commotion. I think that's where the true vote comes. That's when we actually see what's happening around us. That's where things aren't these type of big omnibus bills, right? Where little things are added to it. I want to know. I think all of you want to know too. And I think if we have time, right, we try to do the best that we can. And I want to have a place and a government that's responsible to give me clear communication and information so that I can make the best choice. And hopefully we can make the best choices. Thank you.